If I awaken, will I know it? We're talking about spiritual awakening. We're talking about the shift in identity that I refer to often on this channel. And the question is, asked by a viewer, if that happens to me, will I know it? This is a pretty common question, but it's a slightly problematic question for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that what you will know happened isn't what you think will happen ahead of time. So you will definitely know something occurred, something shifted, but the way we think about it ahead of time, in fact, the way we necessarily think about it ahead of time, will not be how it is. So in that sense, it can be surprising, and it often is surprising. And often people will even tell me that even though they've heard me say multiple times that it will be surprising, it won't be what you expected, they're still surprised, and they think that's really funny. So what is it that causes this sort of disconnect? Well, it's the nature of awakening itself. It's the nature of an alteration in identity. Can you, as you are right now, or as you take yourself to be, can you, as you think of yourself right now, with your history, your past, your ways of solving problems, your ways of seeing reality, your ways of seeing yourself, your ways of seeing other people, all those constructs of mind, can that apparatus itself imagine what it's like when it is fundamentally altered? No, it can't do that. It's impossible, right? Because it's already looking through a bunch of filters that make things look a certain way. So when the filters themselves shift, when the apparatus itself has a fundamental transformation, how in the world could that be predicted from the filters that are shifted, that have disappeared or dissolved? So that's kind of the big issue with this. The second thing I want to say about this is you don't have to know this. The one that wants to ask the question, will I know? Do people know after they have awakening? Did you know after you have an awakening? These all seem to come from the same place. And that place is one of wanting to know, even though you've heard me say you can't really know what it's going to be like after awakening. There's still something there trying to plan it. And all I can say is it's not going to be like you think. It just won't. It simply won't. Often people will say things like, wow, this is such an interesting realization because it's not anything like what I thought it would be. It's not even spiritual. It doesn't feel spiritual. It's not something in the spiritual plane that I was perceiving, this world of spiritual awakening and gods and Buddhism and Hinduism and all the things I thought it was about. It's really not about that. It's way more direct, way more personal in a sense, way more immediate, way more natural. It's not about a paradigm or an idea or a set of ideas or a philosophy. And again, I say this until I'm blue in the face, but it just needs to be said again and again. And yeah, people are often surprised when the shift occurs, how it is, what it is that does shift, or what it feels like to be shifted out of that illusion that thinks it has to know everything. It has to plan everything. It has to imagine how things are going to be so that it can prepare for that. That very mechanism, that very tendency to try to plan how everything's going to be so that you can prepare, that itself is the illusion. It is the sense of being apart from life. It is the sense of suffering. They're one and the same. So there's no way I can tell that apparatus, that movement, that collection of impulses and beliefs and so forth, what it's going to be like when it suddenly is seen to be a complete illusion. Really just a thought with a bunch of other thoughts growing out of it. I can't say that. I can't tell that thing what it's going to be like. But I can tell you that the part of you that wants to know, that needs to understand, that wants to figure it all out ahead of time and know whether people will know if they've had an awakening or not, that part of yourself has nothing to do with awakening. That's not what awakening is about. And it never will be. So you can just ignore it or Don't give it any more fuel. Don't give it any more energy. That's not the place to look. The place to look is what's even closer. What's even more simple than that? What's simpler than all of those thoughts? What's more clear than the muddy, doubt-laden mechanism of mind? What is immediately always the case now, now, now? That's where we're pointing always. And it works to be pointed there. Meaning, even if right now you're going, oh man, this doesn't make any sense. Again, I'm confused. I'm lost. How am I ever going to get this? Those are thoughts. Thoughts. Don't worry about it. That's just the mechanism that I was talking about that wants to understand everything. That mechanism is kind of going on tilt. It's kind of getting confused, getting disrupted. It's fine. That's just not what I'm pointing to. And the event of it getting disrupted and confused is really just a side effect of you starting to actually tune into something that is beyond it. Something that is beyond the confines of that limited scope of experience, limited scope of self-perception, limited scope of the perception of reality. You're starting to tune into what's beyond it. So it doesn't matter if you understand this or not. It really doesn't at all. I've had so many people say they listened to my videos for months or even a year and didn't understand them at first, didn't make any sense, but they knew there was something there, and all of a sudden something shifted. Or all of a sudden it starts making a lot of sense, but not in a logical way. They just get it. This is very common. I get these comments a lot. So don't worry if this is not logically satisfying to you. It won't be. This won't be logically satisfying to you. It might be at first because it might be fun to think about and talk about spirituality and Buddhism and all the details of the whatever doctrine, all of it. It may be really fun to chew on with the mind, but at some point the fun will stop if you're serious about this. The fun stops when you start to realize what's really driving this process. And it's not interest. It's not your intellectual curiosity. It's not going, oh, cool, this is a new concept. No. What's driving it is suffering. What's driving it is the sense that something is really off about the way you're experiencing reality. And it is. That sense, and really embodying it, dropping into it, feeling the total uncomfort, nasty yuckiness of it, and just really, really feeling into that. That's the fuel that really drives this process. Not intellectual curiosity, not any kind of understanding. It's seeing that there is something fundamentally and profoundly misperceived here about you, your experience of yourself. That has to be seen. It has to be embraced. And it will feel uncomfortable to embrace that. But it's pointing, that's the compass redirecting you. That's the cosmic compass pointing you in the right direction. You won't even understand the direction. Don't worry about it. This isn't about you as you know yourself or take yourself to be. It's way beyond that. So when you start getting sorted out by reality, when it starts pointing your compass in a different direction, it's uncomfortable. It's disorienting. It is disrupting. But it's awesome. That's what we're talking about here. And at this point, hopefully you're not worried about, well, will I know? Will I not know? That's just the mind trying to grab hold again. We're not worried at all now about planning what it'll be like afterward, imagining what it'll be like, because it's just a fool's game. We know that now, right? At this point, when we're really feeling the suffering, when we're really starting to orient to the unknown, then we're unconcerned or far less concerned with all of this grasping of mind and having to know. You don't have to know anything. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be willing to go where this is going to take you. And it's going to take you off the map in a way that nothing else will. Nothing. The most altered experiences won't do this for you. They can do it for you temporarily in one sense, but on the other side, the ego structure will be right there for you. You have to do this willingly. You have to be willing to go off the map. When you're willing to go off the map and you're in touch with the suffering, which is just that deep sense that something is off about the way you're experiencing life and reality, you're in a good place.